Hello everyone and welcome to a more phenomenal episode of Adaptations Across Countries. Go Power Rangers! Yeah, get hype! New movie, Twitch stream, new series, heck, a new Korean series. Power Rangers is huge all across the world. That's why I think it's high time we talked about Power Rangers, its Japanese origin, and how much it changed in its adaptation. I personally had an awkward history with Power Rangers. I could never catch it on the weekdays, so I only caught it on Saturday mornings, missing a ton of episodes. But I still loved it, and to this day still own the Green with Evil VHS set. There's no reason to keep it, but it makes me smile every time I look at them. But when I was a kid, I noticed all the inconsistencies of the show, like the Green Ranger's armor suddenly turning into fabric, or even the difference in cinematography between fight scenes and casual scenes. It would be over a decade before I would finally find out why, as I was able to sit down and watch Kyoryu Sentai ZyuRanger. Yes, I'm sure many of you already know that Power Rangers came from Japan, but I think it's time somebody deeply looked into the two series, especially when it comes to the differences in story, message, and culture. Now, production-wise, the planning behind ZyuRanger would be different from any Sentai that came before it, as most Sentai would involve government organizations of superheroes or using alien technology. ZyuRanger would be the first Sentai to have a fantasy theme with magic, mythology, and gods. This was mostly due to the popularity of RPGs like Dragon Quest, which, at the time ZyuRanger was airing, would see its 5th installment released for the Super Famicom. The second theme would, of course, be dinosaurs, after the popularity of Jurassic Park's novel was sparking up interest in dinosaurs. This would wind up catching the attention of Haim Saban. Saban Entertainment would start off working with Deke Entertainment and dubbing over some anime like Samurai Pizza Cats. But Haim always wanted to bring over Sentai after seeing its popularity in France. Originally, they were planning to bring over the previous Sentai, Jetman. But negotiations were taking a while, and they saw a stronger opportunity in viewership if instead they went for the dinosaur-themed heroes, and thus they came into creating Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
Mastodon!
Pterodactyl!
Triceratops!
Saber-tooth tiger!
Tyrannosaurus!
Power Ranger!
But Saban Entertainment wouldn't create a one-to-one of the series or just dubbing it over, instead switching out the original actors with American actors and only using Japanese footage for fights and giant robots. This would wind up reducing the costs as the special effects were already made and most of the story was already there. Haim Saban saw an easy profit in Power Rangers. Story-wise, though, the two couldn't be more different. ZyuRanger was about ancient warriors set to sleep in case of the revival of the evil witch Bandora. With the help of the ancient tribal guardian beasts, they could combine into their deity Daizujin. With this, they would stop the evil witch and revive the dinosaurs which she had hunted to extinction.
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No, not that! Not teenagers!
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
On the other side, we have 5 teenagers who look like they came off the set of a Saved by the Bell clone, summoned by the ancient being Zordon to stop Rita and her malicious monsters by calling upon their giant robots called Zords.
This is amazing! I get to know how to drive this thing!
Affirmative, I do too. It's almost like second nature to me.
The difference of science fiction and fantasy might have something to do with American trends. See, in the US, fantasy was popular, but never widely accepted. People who were fans of Dungeons & Dragons and Tolkien tended to be outnumbered by the fans of shows like Star Wars and Star Trek. So it made sense to keep the Zords as robots rather than make them gods. But despite the sci-fi theme change, one element remained the same: the evil witch.
Hey, Yokunita.
I can't believe they beat us back!
This is not your fault, Squat. You should have helped.
Goldar, you failed!
It won't happen again, Empress.
Shut up! I've got a headache!
Between the two series, Bandora and Rita don't change much in personality, though in ZyuRanger, Bandora is a lot more confident, egging on the Rangers and always smirking. Rita, by comparison, is conniving and assertive, always flaunting her superiority around others.
What do you think, Squad? Am I prettier?
Oh yes, you're much more beautiful than Scorpina, your evilness.
By far the most beautiful.
Yes, aren't I?
But one thing Rita isn't is a mother. Well, at least not in Season 1. No, but Bandora is, or was. In fact, her entire motivation is on her motherhood. See, her bratty son taunted some dinosaurs and died. Bandora vowed revenge and hunted down every dinosaur she could, but was eventually sealed away by the ZyuRangers and their friends. Rita's backstory was just that she was sealed by Zordon. Not much else. She is just evil.
You will all suffer the same fate.
You can already see quite the difference in the villains, and even some of their henchmen have backstory, as Bandora promised each of them something for their hard work, like brains, fangs, and a voice. Gryffozor, the Goldar of ZyuRanger, was actually a mythic beast and had a romance with Lemmy, or as people remember her, Scorpina. Gryffozor never had a voice, so upon Lemmy's devotion, Bandora promised to give Gryffozor the ability to speak. It's pretty sweet, but Power Rangers doesn't give any of that story to the henchmen. It just kinda gives them little archetypes, like being the dumb one,
You're really using your head this time, Golda.
the feminine one,
Evilness, let me help you.
the warrior, and, girl.
Scorpina!
Don't you Scorpina me! I was at least out there battling with them!
You should send Green Ranger my
Couldn't handle
You're
it.
wrong!
Children, shush now.
But what about the Power Rangers themselves? Well, they each wind up about the same. Each character without much development falls into an archetype, but not the same archetype. Pink for both series just kind of winds up as, well, girl. Billy is the brainy one, while Dan is spirited. Zack is wisecracking and a very active dancer, while Goshi is a proud warrior, always there to defend his friends. Yellow is actually kind of a funny coincidence. See, Trini is kind of the helpful aide of Billy and best friend to Kimberly, but in ZyuRanger, Yellow is a young and brash guy named Boy. Yeah.
Boy!
Pretty funny to think about, given Yellow is the only one to have their gender swapped. But the reason is obvious, that producers of Power Rangers just wanted to balance out the male to female ratio, which makes sense as they would wind up targeting both boys and girls in toys, as evidenced by the Barbie-like dolls of Pink and Yellow. Now, the Red Ranger is one of the more interesting characters to follow. Both characters, Geki and Jason, wind up slowly becoming better leaders to the rest of their crew, but it's Geki's relationship with the 6th Ranger that defines a great portion of the story. Actually, the 6th Ranger was a very special case in Super Sentai history. Never before had there been a 6th Ranger added to the team, but Toei Studio wanted to try and do something different. The overwhelming popularity of the Dragon Ranger would make it a Sentai tradition from this point on, and it is no surprise. Burai is a warrior dedicated to killing his brother Geki, as he feels he betrayed his family and could never forgive him. Though Geki doesn't remember his brother, he nevertheless cannot fight him despite Burai's bloodlust.
Burai! 正義のためにお前を倒す勝負だ
Geki is conflicted, but ultimately decides that he can't finish off his brother, even when ZyuRanger, his own god, tells him to do so. Geki turns his back and tells his brother that if he truly hates him, to strike him down, but only if it will finally end the constant destruction. Burai speechless, finally realizes how selfish and monstrous he's become and begs for forgiveness. With their new ally, they also gain new powers, but sadly, only for a limited time. But on the other side...
Man, that dude is pumped.
Tommy is the new kid in town. After a fantastic display against Jason during a martial arts competition, Tommy is kidnapped and enchanted to obey Rita. With his new Green Ranger powers, he trashes the command center and then throws the Rangers out of their own giant robots. The Rangers, crippled, then lose Jason as he becomes the plaything of Goldar. After Jason is able to escape, they find out the identity of the Green Ranger and free Tommy of Rita's spell.
Oh, look, Zordon.
You're watching history in the making, Alpha. Finally, the prophecy has been fulfilled. The Sixth Ranger is now one of us.
Hooray!
Both stories are pretty compelling. An innocent bystander becoming an agent of evil against his own will, and the vengeful brother a monster of his own design. But the biggest difference is the follow-up. After Burai joins ZyuRangers, he finds out he's dying. As the episodes follow, he keeps himself in his room outside of time. For every time he steps out, he loses more of his life. This would wind up affecting Tommy, but less tragic.
With the green candle, formed from magic wax, when it burns down, it will steal the Green Ranger's powers.
Even as the series went on and all the Burai footage would be used up, Tommy would just lose his powers, not die. Which is still sad, but not nearly as tragic. Though, as Power Rangers continues on, they find an excuse to bring Tommy back. But of course, without Burai footage, how could they? Well, even though they ran out of ZyuRanger footage, Saban commissioned Toei for more footage to be used for Power Rangers. This would be called the Zyu2 videos, but would never actually be used for ZyuRanger. All of the monsters would be exclusive to Power Rangers. Most of these would even be used in toys. This is also where we get the infamous pumpkin wrapper. Frickin' pumpkin wrapper.
Ooh, you Rangers make me mad! Waking me up with a rap that bad!
Like, pumpkin wrapper makes no sense. They actually have to wake him up, and then he's an evil monster. Like, he wasn't doing anything before that. He was just like, oh, I'm sitting in a pumpkin patch. I guess I'm evil. Ooh. I don't even know. This footage would also be used for the first part of Season 2, but we'll talk about Season 2 later. Let's now talk about how each series ended. For ZyuRanger, Bandora's son is brought back to life by her god Dai Satan and given a giant robot to pilot called Dora Talos. This power would wind up throwing Daizujin into another dimension. The ZyuRangers, along with the White Wizard Barza, would rescue Daizujin from the dimension, defeat Kai, and seal Bandora away. With their mission finally complete, the ZyuRangers are sent into the heavens to live with their gods as a sealed Bandora warms up to Lemian Gryffazer's new baby. Now, technically Power Rangers ends on an episode with an oddly nude and fleshy clam monster, but I think it's more appropriate to compare the episode that uses the equivalent ZyuRanger footage. The Power Rangers are being celebrated in Angel Grove Park, but Rita kidnapped everyone in Angel Grove. Using the power of Lokar, Rita creates a Zord for Goldar called Cyclopsis. The Power Rangers have their backs up against the wall, but they find a small weakness in Cyclopsis and defeat Goldar and Rita, sending her back to the moon. After the fight has ended, Zordon asks the Power Rangers if they would like to return to their civilian lives. The Power Rangers say they'll stay on for the rest of the season, and it all ends with a group yelling out,
Power Rangers!
The two definitely feel like season closers, though Power Rangers continues on with a few more episodes. One of the bigger reasons Power Rangers would continue on is because of syndication. On American television, if a series is a hit, then it can only be rebroadcasted on other networks if the series has a minimum of 65 episodes. In Japan, the episode amount is based on the length they plan to show the series. Usually weekly, if it's about a year like ZyuRanger's was, then they can last around 50 episodes, hence why Power Rangers needed more footage commissioned. Speaking of additions though, let's talk Bulk, Skull, and Alpha 5. These characters epitomize American TV trends. Bulk and Skull are just typical bullies in Season 1. Their entire purpose is to make you laugh because you want to see their bad attitude get what's coming to them. The idea of bullies was popular in school settings as a simple antagonist that could be used for comedic relief. Not a trope that happens often in Japan, though.
Roses are red. Violets are blue. We sure can learn something from you.
But then there's little mascot type characters like Alpha 5. Again used for comic relief, though he's meant as more a likable character. Though with his catchphrase of "ay ay 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 ay" anytime he becomes panicked, he can be annoying to some people.
Uh-oh.
If I had to compare, he's kind of like the snarf of the group, but not all smothering, just helpful around the command center. ZyuRanger has very few characters like this. Instead, they have characters like Barza, the White Wizard. He's a helpful ally who can help the Rangers with a token of knowledge or advice they lacked, but he also can be a bit of comedic relief. He's kind of like the Zordon of the group, but Barza is more of a librarian for advice, whereas Zordon can be a bit more fatherly. There's others in Power Rangers, like Ernie, Miss Appleby, and the Principal, but each of them are fairly one-note and just add to a bit of the world Power Rangers inhabit. ZyuRanger is alternatively inhabited by children. Every new guest actor of the week was a child, which if I was a kid when I watched this, I would be ecstatic. I'd ask my mom where I have to go to get on an episode. Though, I know some people can be deterred by this, seeing as it's a bunch of adults solving children's problems. Even if those problems are an evil witch with her monsters. If it's not obvious by now, I'm a bigger fan of ZyuRanger than I am of Power Rangers. But that's mostly because I really like mythology, since ZyuRanger's monsters are all based on mythological creatures like the cockatrice, sphinx, or Argos. But in Power Rangers, they're just a monster with a theme. It feels too simplified to me, and it's not helped by the high school setting for the main characters. That isn't to say I don't like Power Rangers, but Power Rangers has its own charm. I kind of look at it with the same view as the 1966 Batman series. Campy, fun, and ridiculous. Though sometimes it can be more dramatic and engaging, and those would be some of the best moments. It's a little time capsule, showing what kind of world the 90s was, and I will always appreciate Power Rangers for that. An interesting take on the same design in another country. I hope you enjoyed this video. Ciao. And that's my video, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. I really like talking about Power Rangers a lot, and if you guys have been watching the Twitch thing, they've got like 17 seasons going on at once, which means I've got at least 17 episodes to talk about Power Rangers and the Super Sentai series. But hey, if you really liked what we did, you know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you really liked what we did, I would also appreciate, maybe some Patreon money, because that'd be really great. It wouldn't go to me, it would actually go straight to Manuel, because I've been asking him to do this for a while now, and I've only paid him once, and that once was in a Mega Man X collection for the PlayStation 2, which he appreciates, but I kind of would like to feed him, more than just, help him out build his video game collection, so... yeah, that'd be great if you guys could, if you guys really liked it, and if you guys would like to see more, just let us know in the comments. I love looking at all these things, so maybe even leave a suggestion in the comments. Anyways, I don't want to be Yuri of Wind of this and babble on, so take care.